Okay, again, we're back in part two with our exclusive conversation with Speaker of the House, Mr. John Boehner. Thanks again, Mr. Speaker, for being here.
Chip, glad to be here.
So, a phrase that's been in my mind recently, a lot, it's been coming out of my mouth a lot, is a sense of urgency. It feels like with all these issues that confront us, spiraling energy prices, demographic time bomb sort of staring us in the face with the entitlements, runaway deficits, it seems like, if I could put my one thing on what drives, say, asking as an outsider now, Tea Party perspective, it's that they have a sense of urgency about all of these issues around us. And I think it's why they react well to certain folks that are upstarts, like Alan West or Chris Christie, who really seem to embody this. Do you yourself share the same sense of urgency about issues like this?
There's no question. I think the fiscal problems that are facing our country are immense. They're right in our lap, and they have to be dealt with now. Having said that, the Democrats didn't do a budget last year. Didn't do appropriation bills. Funded the government under the so-called continuing resolution until March 4th. We've had to extend it a couple of times while cutting spending.
Right.
Until we come to some agreement with a White House or the Senate that have no position. And we're gonna cut spending. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Secondly, here in the next week or so, you'll see us unveil our budget, where we will deal with the big entitlement programs that are the biggest cause of our budget deficit now and the much bigger part in the future. And we're going to deal with it. Now, whether we can get the Senate or the White House to deal with it, I don't know. But I can tell you we're going to deal with it, because we believe that it has to be dealt with now. No more whistling past the graveyard. No more kicking a can down the road. It's time to deal with our fiscal crisis now.
Again, speaking from an outsider's perspective, looking in, if the goal is to try and cut $100 billion in spending in the next fiscal year, why not go in asking for $300 or $400? It seems like we watch Democrats ask for the moon when they are pushing policy objectives. If we know through the legislative process things will get compromised down, why not ask for the moon and try and end up at that target number? Or do you think we can end up there anyway?
Probably because we're Republicans, right? We're straight with people, upfront with people, and I think it's always better for people to know exactly where you are and fight the fight straight up.
Okay, fair enough. Then another thing that I think folks might understand is that of course, they're sophisticated enough to realize we only control one house.
One half of 1/3 of the federal government, to be exact.
Okay, fair enough. The Democrats control the Senate. Help listeners understand the legislative process. Someone outside looking in might think, well, why not, even knowing that the Senate, when it comes to legislation on spending, will pass laws that cut much less than you guys intend to. Why not on the House side cut dramatically more aggressively and then try and force through reconciliation the number to come down in terms of what you're spending?
Well,
is that a way to do it?
Well, that's basically what we are doing here on the short-term CR. Trying to get as much spending cut as we can for the balance of this fiscal year, which, let's be honest, only runs through September 30th. And so trying to cut as much as we can over 6 months is going to be difficult. But as I said, we're about to embark on our new budget process, where we will hold spending down on the discretionary side, and we will deal with the big entitlement questions. We'll move appropriation bills. I'm hopeful that the Senate will as well. They didn't last year, and neither did the House. So nobody has really seen where the center of gravity is in the United States Senate, because they've not had many tough votes yet. But over the next few months, we'll have a better idea of what's doable in the Senate. All I know is that on the House side, where I'm the leader, we are not going to shrink from the big challenges that face us.
By all accounts, you ran a terrific minority party, very disciplined. We're just getting to know your young tenure as Speaker back again in the majority. On this latest CR, 54 Republicans voted against it, including 22 freshmen, mostly Tea Party types. Is that a signal that are they going to be your foot soldiers, so to speak, or are they going to be more the watchdogs over this new majority?
listen, we got some who want to cut more spending and some who want to cut it faster. It's not that they disagreed with anything that was in the bill. It's just that they wanted to get this short-term spending bill over now. I can't force the Senate to act. I can't force the President to act. But our goal is to cut spending and keep the government open. Shutting the government down will only make our job of cutting spending more difficult. And understand that cutting spending and bringing our fiscal house in order is important for that reason in and of itself. But secondly, we also know that cutting spending will lead to a better environment for businesses to create jobs in America, which is what the American people really want.
Indeed. I know I'm going to ask a question that will be on the minds of listeners. Why will shutting down government, why would that make your job harder?
Well, I had a front row seat back in 1995 and 96 when this occurred.
Right.
And what happens is the government shut down, the bright lights of the media end up on the White House, end up on the Congress, and it makes it difficult for either party to move. At the end of the day, you're going to end up getting less. Remember, the goal here is to cut spending, not shut down the government.
Understood. Okay, fair enough. Well, listen, I appreciate that color. I'm sure so do our listeners, and I certainly am very appreciative of the time you spent here. Again, we've been speaking with, of course, the Speaker of the House, Mr. John Boehner. Thanks again, Mr. Speaker.
Yep, thank you.